Alright guys, I promised another video on the little Kawasaki Bayou 300 here. I told you I'd show you a little bit of video of how I solder and the stuff I use to solder and things like that. Well, this is what I use for my soldering. This is a Harbor Freight soldering gun. It's a 180 watt soldering gun, and it's pretty much a soldering kit. I mean, everything you need pretty much comes in it, within the exception of like strippers and connectors and stuff like that. All that you have to get separately, of course. But I mean, this is what I have in mind. I have the gun itself. I have two different types of solder, different connections. I have the flux paste. I have a brush over here to apply the flux paste with. I keep a little bit of heat shrink in here and a little bit of sandpaper for cleaning the tips. And for when I'm tinning the tips and stuff like that. And well guys, let's get you put up in here and set up and ready to do some soldering. I know this is going to look a little time consuming here, but give me 1 second. I wanted to get you guys a good video of the stuff that I use and the tools that I use for this and everything like that. So just so you guys know, you ain't got to go out and spend a fortune to be able to do something like this. It's pretty simple forward, and it's pretty self-explanatory as to whether you want to do this right or do it wrong. And I'm going to show you a little bit more in this video as to why I prefer soldering over I do twisting those connections like that. I mean, that you'll see why here in a few seconds. There's reasons why I do it like that, and you'll see why. Alright, give me just a second, guys. Didn't want to have to do two separate short videos, so we're going to do it in one long video. And there's a spider. Get out of here. Back them spiders. Alright, sorry about the shaky camera work, guys. I've got you hanging on the handlebars of my four-wheeler. It works, whatever works. Alright, just a few more little tools I'll be using here and there. Set of wire strippers. These, as you can see, also come from Harbor Freight. Good little set of wire strippers for the money. Strippers / cutters. I like these myself. And I've got a pair of strippers, cutters, and crimpers here that I like to use. They just make very, very quick work of stripping wire, especially to a certain length and stuff like that. Work great. I've had no problem with them. And once again, all come from Harbor Freight. Guys, you ain't got to have a whole lot to do this kind of work, but it makes a difference to have little tools like that. And this is just my little flux brush. I like to brush down the wires with a good little bit of flux before I solder them. And ways differ as to how to do this and what to use and what not to use. Well, you know what, guys? I use the flux because it helps the solder flow through the wires. Without this flux, you'd wind up with just a gob of solder sitting on here. It would not flow into the wire, and you'd not wind up with a good bond. And with this soldering, you want a real good bond to it, and you want it not to come undone. The key is to have the wire permanent connection. If you don't have that permanent connection, there's no need in doing it. And I like to fan my wires like this right here, guys. Just because of this, you can kind of slide them in together like this right here. And then you can have a smaller, tighter connection right there. And then look at that. Yeah, that connection is not strong unsoldered. But once I solder that connection, you will not pull that connection apart. I don't care what you do, you will not pull that connection apart. You will break the wires before you pull that connection apart. And once again, guys, do this in a well-ventilated area. It comes without saying, because the fumes from this can be toxic, so do it in a well-ventilated area. Don't do it somewhere in a closet somewhere or something like that unless you have real good ventilation fans. Alright, guys, let's see if I can get this fixed up here where you can see a little better. I'm trying to make it where everybody can see and understand what's going on as well. Because I don't have a good... Doing this with the harness on here doesn't actually give you a good stable place to work, but it works for the most part. Let's see if I can zoom you guys in a little bit here. Here we go. That's much better. And guys, you know, the point of not editing my videos a whole lot is because it's supposed to be like a good, you know, it's supposed to be like you're here in the room with me, listening to me, and, you know, just working in the shop together, guys. Yeah, some of this is how-to, but I don't mind doing the how-to stuff. Some people need to know how to do this stuff properly. Obviously, on this floor, the people that did it did not know how to do it properly. So, I mean, it doesn't take long to learn, guys. And as far as tinning the tip of your soldering iron, I've already sanded mine. And yeah, it could be a little better, but it'll work for the purposes of what it is. And you also want to take some of this flux you've got and put it on both sides of your soldering gun. You ain't got to goop it up real bad. Just put a little bit on there. And we call this tinning the tip. You want to heat it up just till the solder melts. And get that solder melted on there a little bit. And this just helps the flow of it and everything like that. You know, that's about all that does. And yeah, it could have been tinned better. I know I'm not perfect at this, guys. This is just to show you how I do it. I'm not a professional at it, but this works for me. I've done it 1,000 times and it works. Okay? I mean, I'm not trying to be no professional here, guys. I'm just doing what gets me by. Alright, guys. And then you want to hold it up under there and wait till it starts to melt the solder. And once you see that solder melt, that solder will flow in there. It's starting to flow now as it is. Come on, flow a little better. There we go, look there. And you just want to add enough to make sure that you've got a real good connection going. Make sure that it ain't going to come apart. And I know I'm adding a little bit of excess here, guys. But excess is fine because I don't want it to come apart. And yeah, that got a little bit hot, but it'll be alright. It'll still stay. I'll add a little bit more to that. And I will show you another one, guys. This is just my first one out here. You know, this is the first one I've done today, so I'll give you a little bit more footage of how to make it work a little better and stuff like that. You know, it's not that big a deal. It's just how it works. But the biggest point to it is you want to be real sure that you have an awesome connection between those two wires, because those two wires come undone and you might find it or you might not. I mean, it takes a lot of time, and yeah, as you guys see here, people make mistakes. I forgot to put heat shrink tube on it. So I will pop this connector out of here and put heat shrink tube on it whenever I get ready to do that. I will not forget that on the next one, though. And I want to show you another reason, guys, as to why this wiring here with the twisted together wires is not a good idea. Alright, use this one for example. See how that's just twisted together? Watch this. Pulls right apart and all that corrosion comes out with it. You know what I mean? So you have to think about stuff like that, guys. It's going to corrode at some point, and it's going to make a bad connection. I mean, look at this one. This is the one I just soldered. There's no pulling that wire apart. And yeah, it's not neat looking, but I think that's because I didn't strip all the way back to perfect wires. I just cut the ends off of what was here. Like, I snipped the very end of that off because it's all frayed. But I mean, guys, it'll work. It would have come out a lot cleaner had I used perfectly clean copper. That's what the flux is for. It helps clean the copper, and it makes sure that everything goes through and solders solidly. You know what I mean? That's how it works, you know what I mean? My daughter playing in the background. She's out here with me today. She spends shop time with Daddy every chance she gets. And that's important too, guys, you know? Involve your family in on stuff like this. It's not that big a deal to have a child out here to spend time with you in the shop. I mean, it's one of the best things you'll ever teach them. It's one of the funnest things you'll ever teach them, you know? I mean, it's a good part of their life, you know? And it's making memories, guys. a lot of being shade tree mechanics, when it originally come out, you know, yeah, a lot of it was out of necessity. But after the struggle of money got through, a lot of it became more about bonding and spending time with your families and, you know, stuff like that. It's not meant to just be, oh, hey, let's go and work on something or just work on stuff for money. It's not meant to be like that. So you just take your wires like that right there, fan them out. You ain't got to fan them out real big. Ain't got to be quite that big. But you know, just enough to get a good mechanical connection on them. Because once you're done with this soldering, that mechanical connection is not needed. Now this one right here, that one's got corrosion all over it. But it will be okay. And you can even, like for example, I keep the sandpaper in my little kit here. You can even take the sandpaper and go over it a few times. And the reason I'm doing it this way, guys, is because I'm trying to keep as much length on the wires as I can, because I'm wanting to run this harness back in the factory locations just to make my life easier, so I don't have to go through mix matching colors of wires or extending wires and stuff like this right here, because there's a couple other wires that run with these that have tracers on them. And in case you haven't realized, you can't buy wires with tracers on them. You have to buy just plain colored wires, or at least to my knowledge you can't. If someone knows, leave me a comment in the box. It tells me where I can get wires that's got tracers on them. You know, I mean, that's just part of it. I like to keep it to where if a next guy come through and needed to use a wiring diagram like I have to find things on here, that he can use that wiring diagram unlike I had to and be able to find everything he needs. Because some of these wires are not on the wiring diagram, and it has to do with the fact that someone took and redid a lot of the wiring harness. I mean, that's what it has a lot to do with, guys. You know, once again, the mechanical bond is this. You know, you get that all kind of pushed in there and meshed together, and you just twist it. Where'd you go, baby girl? Okay, stay right there. And see, guys, good mechanical connection. And then we will get this one fixed to where we can solder it. Try to use not so much heat this time. Maybe that'll help out a little bit. You know, guys, like I said, I'm not a professional. I just do this as I need to. I don't do it every day. But I'm good at what I like to do. This is something I enjoy doing. I love electrical wiring, always have. And it's just something I find fun to do. And you know, some people would call me crazy, but it is what it is. You know, once again, I think it goes without saying, guys, please be in a ventilated area so that you can live long years to enjoy with your family, because this stuff definitely is not good for your body. And I'm in a big building with open doors and stuff like that, so you can see all them fumes coming up off of that. I don't have a fan going right now, but it all filters off good enough. It'll be fine. The hardest part is getting it all to melt. Once it melts, you're golden. See how it's bubbling up on the end of there? Yeah, that's not what you want. Get a little more heat in that wire. Okay, I don't know what that's all about, guys. That's weird. Never had that happen before. Let's try. I know what it is. Let's add a little more flux to it. And see, guys, I'm not going to edit out mistakes and stuff like this right here. I mean, it is what it is, guys. People make mistakes. You can criticize me all you want to, but guess what? I'm a normal person just like any of you guys. I make mistakes and I'm not afraid to show them. Mistakes are meant to be made. You know, I mean, it's not too bad. I later discovered that this issue I was having here in this particular instance was a combination of the bad solder, the bad tip on the iron, and the extremely dirty and corroded wires in this case. In the future, I would make sure my tip was cleaned and tinned better. I'd make sure I had a better rosin coarse solder, and I'd make sure that to actually cut the wires back to pure clean copper, because that copper was very dirty. And I think that's what all of this was doing and why it was being caused. But yeah, like I said, guys, everybody makes mistakes. Just little more prep work should have gone into this, and I'm aware of that. So next time I'll be aware to do a little more prep work. Yeah, we're going to, I'm going to cut that one out and redo it, guys. I don't like that one. Yeah, we're going to cut that one out and redo it. I don't like that one. You know, that's just part of it, guys. It happens like that sometimes. It is what it is. Like, I don't know why that solder wouldn't hold to that one. For some reason, it just didn't like that one. I've never had that happen before. May just because it wasn't clean copper. That very well could be the problem. You know, guys, I mean, you know, once again, I'm not a professional at this. I just know what happens as it comes to me. Does it suck that it didn't stick to it? Well, heck yeah, it sucks that it didn't stick to it. But it's room for improvement. So we will try that again. Maybe this time it will work better, especially since we have clean copper. And yeah, I know these wires are a little discolored, guys. Some of it was overheated at one point in time, but I'm not going to go and replace the whole wiring harness before it. It didn't do any damage on it anywhere or anything like that, so I'm not going to worry about that. Babe girl, not so loud, okay? Sorry, guys, you know. I wouldn't trade having her out here for nothing, though. She's my little helper. My best friend. Get me some more solder pulled out here. Do one more for you guys, give a good demonstration on it. Hopefully this one will work out this time. See how that just comes apart? And these I'm going to go ahead and just cut off and restart. Shh. Alright. And guys, don't let me forget the heat shrink on this one this time now. You guys are supposed to be my backup and helping me. Let me forget stuff like heat shrink. That's a rookie move. I know, I done it. By the way, guys, the fuel that come out of this spoiler, I've got a mason jar around here somewhere. I'm going to try to pour some of it in so you can see. The fuel that come out of this spoiler, if we had smell-o-vision, half of you guys would puke. you would absolutely puke, because that stuff smelled horrible. And I mean, it smelled absolutely horrible. The worst smelling fuel I've ever smelled. And I see Musty One pull a lot of fuel out of stuff. And I know some of the stuff he pulled out horrible. Yeah, guys, see, just, push it together like that right there. And see, I've got a little spot in that one that I don't like, so we're going to redo that. Another way you can do it is, instead of fanning it out like I had it, you can just take it and kind of push them together like that right there, which is just as good. It actually works out a little easier than trying to get the wires all fanned out and stuff like that. And see, makes a good connection too. And now we shall put some paste on it. We'll get it all pasted up. And then we will go from there, guys. Let's solder this last one, and then I'm gonna cut you guys off and finish up what I'm doing, and we'll have a better day. Let me get this thing positioned right here. I didn't realize I had moved it. I just done it. Okay. Just trying to make sure I stay on track here with all these different connections laid out. Alright, yeah, guys, I'm going to re-tin this tip on here real quick, because it's looking kind of dirty from that last one. I know I could just swap them, but I like to use everything to its fullest. I don't like to waste. Waste is not good. When you're working on a budget, it's better to save than it is to waste. Put a little flux on the tip here. That's what she said, man. Yeah, that was a lame joke. I know. You don't have to call me out on it. Alright, guys, let's give it the old 1-2 try again. And sometimes it takes a minute for the wires to heat up, guys. It's not that big a deal. You'll see the tip on my thing getting red hot, but it's just because it's the type of soldering gun it is. It's not that it's hurting anything or anything like that. It's just what it is. And I do back off of it a little bit here and there and let it cool off so it don't scorch anything. And then, of course, trying to get your solder to stay straightened out. Oh, so that's why it was doing that. See, guys, whenever you're having issues and you know it works right, that's why it was causing that. That tip was getting close to burning in too. Come on, focus, focus, focus. You know, see, that tip just burnt too on me. I've used this tip for a long time now, guys, so it's about time for it to burn into 10. Alright, guys, let's give this another shot. And yeah, this is a little bit different tip. It's a little bit bigger than the other one. And a little more surface area. There we go. It's finally starting to flow now. There. Look at there, guys. I can back off of it a little bit. And see, that's going to flow all the way down into those wires. And it's going to never let that connection come apart. And sometimes the smoke from one of these does get to where you can't see it good, but believe me, it is there. Alright guys, I know it ain't perfect and it took me a couple of attempts, but that's a good one right there. Come on, focus camera. Focus. Yeah, that's about the best it's gonna get. See that? And here's one I done. Oh crap, I heat shrunk it. I don't have that one to show you guys. I done another one the other day on this green and white wire here that was almost perfect condition. So you can see the heat shrink just right here off camera. Up under there. So alright guys, that's going to be it for today. I think this video's done gotten long enough. And look at that, you guys let me forget the heat shrink again. Come on, man. That's all good. I'll pop the connectors out and put some heat shrink in them. Alright guys, this is Two Eagles Garage once again. Soaring high and living on life. You guys have a great rest of your week. Remember, family, fun, and life is more important than just a daily job and living day by day. You guys have a good week, and God bless you all.